Recording in progress.
Certifications. Yesterday was another fabulous day. It was kind of a different experience in terms of content and also the format of the day, and we explored the future of English, which was followed by two discussion panels that left a lot of reflections, a lot of thoughts, and a lot of action points that we intend to start making happen as we delve into the year 2025 and 2026 and beyond. Well, today I should welcome our audience that is basically made up of the initial teacher training, uh, teacher educators, and also student teachers. It is great to have you here today. But basically, I would say it is it has been a pleasure to have you to have to have you along all this process. I know of your presence on days 1 and 2, and you definitely contributed a lot with these conversations and this exchange of experiences that need to happen. Today, we're going to uh, do basically, we're going to develop some themes that are of high interest to initial teacher education. Although the themes that we will be addressing are also important for English language teachers who are in in service currently. We will have three key moments. The very first one is rethinking classroom assessment, moving from theory into practice. The second moment, we will be having a discussion and a workshop on initial teacher training, particularly in the area of class observation and the use of rubrics. And in the last part, we will be uh, devoting our interaction and sharing information and insights and best practices in terms of lesson planning supported by artificial intelligence. Thank you for joining us again. My name is William Machaca, and I have the pleasure of being your host again today, which closes a round of fantastic 3 days of learning and connection with teachers from all over the country. We know how valuable your time is, and we truly thank each one of you for joining us. Before starting the program, I would like to share with you very important information that will guide us through the development of this Thursday as it has done the previous past 2 days. So now you will see on the screen some very important guidelines for safety. I will read this in Spanish together with you, and then share a quick reminder in English. Okay? Entonces, les invitamos a participar activamente en este espacio que nosotros lo hemos concebido como un espacio inclusivo y seguro. Y para ello esperamos de ustedes que mantengamos un comportamiento educado, respetuoso y considerado con los demás miembros del grupo. También es importante recordarles que el trabajo que desarrollaremos requiere de ustedes el que sean considerados, atentos en su comportamiento y pensando en los sentimientos de las otras personas. No se tolerará acoso, agresión o cualquier comentario que pueda ser ofensivo al resto de nuestros participantes. Bien, entonces les pedimos por favor, tanto en la sala principal como la que nos encontramos ahora, así como en los breakout rooms que van a ver hoy día, mantengamos presente estas recomendaciones, estas orientaciones. Asimismo, por favor, cualquier información que sea compartida entre los participantes. Con ustedes les pedimos no compartir con el resto sin su previa autorización o consentimiento. Y asegúrese de reportar cualquier mensaje, cualquier comunicación ofensiva o acción que sea inapropiada y o que les haga sentir incómodos. Muy bien. Y para ello, por favor, lo que les pedimos es que vayan a reportar cualquier tema en un mensaje directo a nuestros colegas que están acá o un correo electrónico a nuestro colega Martín, que seguramente va a compartir su dirección electrónica en unos momentos. Entonces, cualquier caso que se identifique, no olviden que es nuestra obligación el reportarlo y nosotros tomaremos las acciones correspondientes. Bien. Entonces, please remember to be considerate, respectful, and collaborative. Maintain a healthy conversation by making contributions on the topic. Be mindful on your fellow participants. And again, if you see or overhear something to report, please write it to our colleague, Martin, who has been in contact with you along these days. Well, without further ado, I would like to introduce our first presentation, Rethinking Assessment from Theory into Practice, and we are joined by Aiden Holland. Aiden Holland is working as a Global Assessment Solutions Manager for wider Europe, and he has been working for the British Council in a variety of roles since 2001. He has over 20 years of international experience in teaching and teacher training, almost a decade of experience in academic management positions, working in teaching management, global product management, and global education reform projects. He holds an MA in teaching English as a foreign language and a second language from the University of Birmingham, and a master's in language testing from the University of Lancaster. Now he lives in Spain, and we truly appreciate his time that allowed us to have his participation at this event late at night in Madrid, where he is based. So the floor is all yours, dear Aiden.
Thank you very much, William.
Thank you again.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I'll share my screen. Can you just confirm you can see the presentation okay?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet.
Well, at least we have the events slide, which is English Connects ELT Week. Now we can see you.
Can you see this now? Okay.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Fantastic.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here in the ELT Week. As William said, my name's Aidan Holland. I'm working in the Assessment Solutions Department of the British Council, currently based in Spain, and I've got a range of experience in teaching, teacher training, and more recently, assessment and education reform. This session is coming from my academic and practical background as a teacher and as an assessment, more and more an assessment expert. And we're going to look at rethinking classroom assessment from theory to practice. In the session, which I've divided into 3 parts, there's a couple of things in Spanish there, sorry. In the first part, we're going to look at what classroom assessment is. We're going to look at a definition for it. And then we'll move on to think about what are formative and summative approaches. How can they be combined within the classroom to the benefit of the students and the teacher? In the second part, which will be interactive and we'll work with some breakout rooms, we're going to look at how classroom assessment works in practice through looking at through 3 different examples. And here I'll be explaining about, it's not a dichotomy of formative or summative. You don't do one or the other. They both must be placed in a harmonious position to have the best effect in the classroom, which is to promote learning at the end of the day. Then in the last part, I'm going to bring the theory and the practice together and explain why it's so important to have education systems in which we're working aligned so that the approach to classroom assessment has the maximum benefit for learning. So we're going to start with the theory. And let's start with the chat. So in the chat, I'd like you to respond to those 2 questions. What does assessment mean for you? And what types of assessment are you doing at the moment with your students? If you're in teacher training, what types of assessment have you seen so far in your courses? If you could pop your answers into the chat, that would be great. Good, got evaluation, yeah. Any other ideas? Okay, good. We're getting some ideas in now. So formative assessment being one type of assessment, yeah. Guidance, measuring the learning process, good. Constant monitoring, summative. Evaluation, again, that's a synonym. Answering questions, yeah, questioning is really key. Assessing the different skills. Oh, good on that. The systematic basis for making inferences about learning and development of students. Yeah, it's good. There has to be a systematic approach. This is good. Tutoring. The process of evaluating skills, providing feedback, or tracking progress, feedback, all this is good. Yeah, you've got some different types of assessment there. And measurement, yeah. Yeah, 4 skills, great. So you've got a good base to start with. So I've been involved with assessment for many years, and I have in the past been a tutor on teacher training qualifications, and I usually led on the assessment modules. And I think one of the main messages I like to transmit about assessment from the beginning is to understand how a test, the word test and assessment fit together, because a test is a form of assessment, but as I can see in the chat, and an assessment isn't, and most shouldn't always be a test. Assessment is much more than just a test. One of the problems that we have in many education systems is people get obsessed with tests, and they think assessment must involve a test, a sit-down test when everyone's quiet and they're answering multiple choice questions, this classic format that we have in mind. But modern assessment approaches mean that we can only be doing this a very small amount of the time. It does have its place somewhere, but as I can see in the chat, you're very aware of formative, diagnostic assessments that are focused on the student and their learning. And this is really key in this session. I hope if you just take one thing away, that it's an even more clearer view of how important it is for the most of the time, focus assessments on students' learning in the classroom environment, and understand that summative tests are not bad, but they must be used with care within a classroom situation. So good. We've got I have a definition here in Spanish, which I'd like you to just skim for 5 seconds. Two key researchers here, a quite concise, nice little definition, which relates to one of your comments in the chat about having a systematic approach to assessment. So assessment can be, and all assessment, including tests, self-peer assessments, observations, can follow these 3 steps. It's the process of obtaining information, making an evaluation based off of that information, and then taking a decision as a result. Let's put this into some concrete examples. Let's think of the most informal assessment that you can do and that you probably do every day, observing students doing a task. When you set up, say, a speaking task in class, you'll be monitoring. You're getting information from the students to see how well they're doing it. You're making an evaluation automatically to decide, do I need to repeat this activity? Do I need to repeat this activity and ask them to focus on a specific thing? Or can I progress to the next stage of their learning? Can I progress to the next objective on the curriculum or the course? Here we've got an example of how you're going through the obtaining information, making your evaluation, and then making a decision. If we move it slightly more towards, and that example I just gave was clearly focused on learning, because your main prerogative is to support the students in developing their speaking in that example. If we take it slightly more formal, maybe you've covered the topic of sustainability in your class, and you've worked on it for 3 weeks, and they've got some nice. They've developed all the 4 skills. They've developed grammatical structures and vocabulary around that. And at the end of the 3 weeks, you give them a test, which has a reading element and maybe some vocabulary. Here we obtain information about their ability to understand the text on the topic that they've been learning about, and would understand how much vocabulary they'd have related to that topic. And then the decision would be, will they need any revision or not? Again, that could be very much focused on the students themselves, because the students could be directed to extension tasks, revision tasks, or reinforcing tasks, depending on how well they did on that informal test. A third example, which is more formal, is maybe when you use a more summative achievement test at the end of a course to see how well the students have processed all of the content of the course, and you give them a grade that they would have. It may be a go to the next level or go to the next year. Here we're obtaining information, making an evaluation, and taking a decision. And it can work on many different levels of formality. The first 2 examples that I gave, I think I would stress that they're focused on learning. There should not be no stress for the students there. It should help them to advance. The third example is necessary for reporting, because they spent maybe 150 hours learning English over the course of a year. They need some kind of formal certification afterwards. We're going to be unpacking these as we go through the session. So there are multiple opportunities for assessment in the classroom. The picture that we see on the screen is not exhaustive, but equally, we shouldn't be doing all of these tests all of the time. The the teacher or the institution or the national education system would hopefully choose specific approaches to assessment that will be relevant for local contexts. I've put all of them on the screen so that we can see how how we can make some different, we can draw some different themes from them. So let's start with these type of tests: baseline, placement, proficiency. Now, these type of tests are probably a test is a form of assessment. Assessment isn't always a form of a test, as I've said. The traditional format of tests, hopefully 4 skills with different sections and maybe a section on grammar and vocabulary, which are standardized and have been through a rigorous process of standardization and quality control, are probably what most non-experts would say if you ask them what is assessment. This is the first thing that comes to their mind. As teachers, we know that this isn't the case, but these are the most common ones. And their main use is to inform about the level of ability of the student for some reason. This normally gets translated into a number or a grade or some kind of formal alphanumeric score. This can be done at the beginning, maybe midpoints or at specific points within a course, beginning, middle, or end, in order to decide maybe where to place a student, in order to decide where a student is now so they can be retested later to understand how much they've advanced in the course, or at the end of the course to give an independent evaluation of where they stand in terms of the objectives of the curriculum. And again, these are normally used in a summative way. However, if you're preparing the students for these exams in class, you might use them formatively, where they take the test and then they look at the results together to understand which parts they find more difficult. This is a formative use of a test which will later be done in a summative way. The second group are better called activities than tests because they don't have a test-like format. They may be questionnaires or checklists, and they involve making diagnostics or doing self or peer assessments in the class to support the students' understanding how well they did something so that they can reflect and identify how they can do it better the next time through the assessment for learning cycle. This really serves to support learning and progress of the students. The third category of tests, such as quiz, progress, achievement, are normally so directly associated with the course content that they can support both of the other themes. So they could be used to support learning, or they can be used to inform, maybe at specific points in the course. So maybe quiz 1 and progress 1 support learning, quiz 2 and progress 2 are reported back to the parents to see how they're going, but they're done in a more informal way. So here, the points I'd like to reinforce are: tests can be oriented formatively or summatively. Second, some tests are naturally more orientated or are used more in a summative way, and some activity types are used more in a formative way. However, that's not a fixed rule. They can be, you can, for example, use a self-assessment in some kind of formative way if your assessment system was set up in such a way as to be able to do that. So to summarize, some of the qualities of a formative approach: it's continuous. So we're doing it probably in every class at some level. Just observing your students is a form of assessment. Therefore, we always observe our students, so it's done in every class. As formative assessments become more formalized, they're done less frequently, but it's still quite it's a regular activity in the courses. It's focused on the student because it's focused on the learning. It's supporting the students to understand how well they did something so that they can reflect on it and think of objectives to do it better the next time. It's adaptive. It's adaptive both for the teacher and for the student. The teacher uses the information that the formative assessment gives to adapt future teaching, to make it more relevant to the student, who can also adapt their approach, given that they're more aware of how well they're doing activities from one moment to the next. Summative assessment, however, is done at specific points in the course, like I've said, beginning, maybe midpoint, and end point. It's focused on reports. It's focused on a snapshot of the learner's ability at one point in time, and unfortunately, it's quite decisive. So they do well or not. They don't have the opportunity to reflect, set learning objectives, and do it better the next time. So it's much more fixed. This doesn't mean by any means that it's bad. As long as it's integrated correctly with the course, and we're going to look at some examples of that now, it can provide a very strong motivation for successful learning if formative assessment is the basis and the summative assessment is placed at the right point and combined in the right way. Let's move into some practical examples of classroom assessment. And within classroom assessment, remember, I'm talking about many different types of assessment, many different types of contexts and systems, and the fact that teachers can combine a formative and summative approach as they feel appropriate. So imagine this is an assessment task. You ask the students to do a 2-minute speaking presentation on a topic that the student has researched. Would this be formative or summative? What do you think? Any thoughts in the chat? It's a bit of a trick question. I saw one of you put both. Oh, 2, 3, 3 boths. It can be both. This is what I'm trying to, I hope to be able to illustrate now in this second part of the presentation. Assessments are not, formative or summative is not a quality of the assessment, but how it's used. So to take this example, imagine you're doing a course which has a strong element of presentation skills for the students. Over the course of 12 weeks, you ask the students to participate in to research and present 3 times during the 12-week period. After each time, they self-reflect and peer reflect and identify areas that they can improve in the next presentation that they do. So that's done in a cyclical style, so that after each presentation, they get rich, meaningful feedback for themselves. No other judgment than that is made. The only information the students are receiving is that is from themselves, how well they think they did, and from their peers, how well the peer thinks they did, and probably some feedback from the teacher as well. But it's not translated into any kind of grade or formal assessment. After the 3, at the end of the course, they could be asked to do a 4th presentation in which the teacher gives them a formal grade for how they do the presentation, to see how much they've learned through the formative approaches from before. So yeah, this is a good comment on the last one. It depends on the teacher's intention and the student's need. So with my example there, you've got 4 presentations, 3 of which were formatively focusing on the learning. The last one was summatively focused, in which they get a grade. But as we built it up over the course of 3 months, they've had plentiful, rich feedback and meaningful support to be as successful as possible on the last assessment, which is logical to follow the same format. So it's very much how the teacher focuses the assessment task. It's not a quality of the task itself. Let's look at this in practice. We're going to look at 3 different classroom-based assessment scenarios, and I want you to think about where you would place them, each of them on the Venn diagram. Now, I've used a Venn diagram because we need to be combining formative and summative approaches to assessments in the classroom to make them both more meaningful and to support in general learning. Formative purely supports learning and improvement. Summative reports, but it also gives the formality and the stress and the importance of these punctual times in the class, which they can work towards and apply all of the learning that they've had. So they're necessary to come together. We're going to look at 3 examples. We'll look at the first one together, and then we'll look at 2 and 3 in breakout rooms when you can discuss what you think of the approach and where it would fit in terms of the Venn diagram. Let's look at the first one. I'll give you 10 seconds to read that, then I'll read it out. So scenario 1 is called the final before the final. Miss Jones gives her final exam 2 weeks in advance of the end of term. Those students who do not pass the exam then spend the next 2 weeks identifying and closing gaps in their knowledge as they prepare to retake the test. The second test is a different version of the test which has the same learning targets. Those students who pass the exam the first time move on to enrichment activities. To a surprise, many students who pass the exam the first time choose to support and coach a student who didn't pass as their extended learning opportunity. Now, if we've got the 3 areas here, would you say this was more, whether this situation would be placed in the formative sphere, the summative sphere, or somewhere in the middle? Okay, we've got summative, formative, got more formative, both. Yeah, using formative, that's the idea. Using formative, we have a comment here, it makes the summative easier to evaluate. It makes it easier to be successful in the summative, which is what we want. We don't want our students to fail. So we need the formative to really be the foundation on which the individual summative assessment is placed. Now, you can see there's clearly a formative element to this, but it is in the middle. If we're thinking about it's an end of term exam, which will be assigned a grade and reported to parents, probably. That's what they know, what normally happens. This teacher has moved the exam forward 2 weeks to give any students who aren't successful the first time a second opportunity. So they're framing a summative assessment and fully scaffolding it in a formative approach. So it's in the middle. The students are given she's giving the students as much opportunity as possible to be successful and to perform to the best of their ability in the end of term assessment. So it's not just one opportunity. So here we can see how we're combining a formative and summative approach on an end of term test to make it highly likely that the students will perform as well as they can. Now, we're going to repeat this in breakout rooms. I'm going to put you in breakout rooms and then share 2 further scenarios. Read the scenarios and decide whether they fit in more formative, more summative, or in the middle. Am I doing the breakout rooms?
No, don't worry. We're
you're doing
right now. Yeah.
Okay. We'll probably have 3 to 5 minutes for this.
Yeah, we should plan in 5 minutes. We're still in the process of in the progress to breakout rooms, I guess. At least that's what my screen says here.
Does it take time to put the people in the rooms?
Now they are all set. Definitely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're starting now.
People need to accept, don't they?
I guess so. Yeah.
Says all breakout rooms will close in 30 seconds.
No. That's it.
No. Yeah, it does on my screen.
Gisa and Martin, can we double check that? I guess it
Yes.
was programmed for 30 seconds. It was-
That's true.
Henry, por favor.
Let's wait they return and send it again.
Ya, los breakout rooms tienen que tener una duración de 5 minutos, por favor.
No, sí, lo que he hecho es cerrarlo para volver a abrir para que ingresen automáticamente, porque nadie estaba entrando.
Oh, ok. No estaban aceptando, ¿no? Tal vez habría que
Exacto,
decir
por eso lo voy a volver a abrir para que entren automáticamente.
Perfecto. Dices, ¿podrías compartir el mensaje de que van a ser redireccionados automáticamente a los breakout rooms? Quienes estaban
Recording in progress.
Okay, shall I start again? Yeah. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Thanks for that break. I hope you've had the chance to at least read through the two scenarios. Let's move to scenario 2. So here we've got homework as optional. The teacher here uses homework as an optional tool to give students practice before their final exam. He lets the students say that if they don't feel sure about the content of the exam, that they can use the homework as evidence to later affect the grade that they're given in the exam. So here we can see that it's while it's optional, it serves a clear purpose if they don't perform as well as they think they should have at the end of the course. Here, I haven't put the arrow right in the middle because it wasn't like they could take the exam 2 times, but the homework served a primarily formative function so that they could do it if they felt it was necessary. If they had felt that they didn't understand a particular topic, they could do the homework, save it as evidence, and use it at a later date. If they felt they understood something, the homework is optional, so it wasn't necessary for them to do it. In this case, the homework being used as evidence to affect the performance on the exam at the end of the term means that it falls in the formative summative sphere. So the work that they're doing when they want for homework can be used for a clear purpose to boost their performance on the final exam. Great. In the third scenario, the teacher's aware of how difficult it is to correct learning when something hasn't been learned correctly or fully. It's much difficult to correct it than by eliciting what the students have doubts about at the current moment in time. So this teacher, when they give the homework, it splits the group of students into three groups. So some of them, if they don't feel sure, they can create questions about the topics. If they feel that they don't understand at all, they can just write the list of their doubts. If they feel confident with it, they can continue on. So this is an example of a purely formative approach. So it basically means students are set homework and they're split into those who understand some, and those who don't understand any. And depending on which group they auto-evaluate themselves into, they're given a task to do. So they either write further questions that will appear in the exam, they'll write the doubts that they have, or they'll stop and they'll request more support. In this case, it's purely focused on the learning of the students. So we've got a more formative example here. At the end here, it's interesting. I've purposefully chosen not to include any only summative examples. Why? As teachers, I know we should be primarily concerned with promoting learning. Learning occurs when we take a formative approach to assessment. That doesn't mean we won't be doing summative assessments, but the summative assessments that we do are always going to fall into that sphere in the middle. So we need to support students to be as successful as possible in the summative assessments. And that's my last two points. A couple of things in the chat. Formative assessment generally low stakes and not graded for final scores. Yeah, I might disagree with low stakes, because the idea of stakes for me is contentious, because I think all exams are high stakes. And if you think about it, if a formative assessment has the power to influence a person's ability, their self-image, this is quite high stakes. So we want to make sure that we're giving it's done in a very supportive way as possible. It's clear that it's less high stakes than doing the IELTS to get into university, but still it has a repercussion on people's lives, and it's important to remember that as well. But very good comments about it's used to guide improvement, innovative ways to assess students. It's all about combining it properly. So just to make conclusions on the second part, being formative or summative is not a quality of the assessment, but how it's used. And the same assessment task can be given a formative or a summative slant, depending on how you want to use them. In a system of classroom assessment, teachers will be rarely expected to create objective standalone summative assessments. And this is where what I mean by this is most teachers aren't creating assessments that would sit outside of the classroom environments that they work in. The assessments that they do use should be fully integrated into the formative approach so that students can be successful, which is the key message. Now, part 3, towards the framework for classroom assessment. Here we're going back to a bit of theory. The importance of alignment and an education system. So an education system can be represented by this diagram. An education system can be seen to have 3 elements. Firstly, curriculum. That would involve the curricula and the syllabi with the objectives of the course that are used to inform the development of materials and assessment systems. Second, instruction. Instruction is basically the experience within the physical educational institution, the school. This would involve learning materials, teacher training, and the realization of learning in the physical place. Third, assessment. The assessment system is the system of classroom assessment that's used to support learning and report on the success of the learning. So these 3 elements are present in all learning systems, whether they're a private class, a group of students, a school, a national authority, a region, a country. It can be had on many levels, but we always see these 3 elements. In order for these systems to be effective, they must be all 3 of them must be aligned to the same set of standards. And by standards, we're thinking about a clear set of objectives that we're teaching at defined levels of ability. And let's think of an example here. Imagine your assessed writing class were this. Students are asked to invent a simple board game. In the task, they have to think of the rules of the board game and write a paragraph which explains the rules of the board game. Now, however you set that up, that's going to be one of the assessed tasks on your communicative course. So thinking about that in the context of a learning system, This assessment task would fit within probably a communicative curriculum in which writing's used to transmit messages. Also, this curriculum would see writing as an integrated skill, which uses grammatical and lexical systems, but also requires specific organization for different genres and registers, and has to achieve certain objectives. If the curriculum perceives writing as this, instruction must teach writing like this. So teachers need to be trained in how to teach writing effectively in this way, to understand writing as an integrated skill. And the materials that teachers use must support teachers to be able to develop those skills in students. In order for the students to learn, the assessment system, both the formative, which is focused on learning, and the summative, which is focused on reporting, need to be harmonious with the writing tasks that they do during their learning. Hence, an integrated skills task with a clear objective. So in this way, this is how this type of task would fit within a learning system. So here's an actual example of a student's production to that task. This is from another project I worked on a few years ago. Read it and just think, is it good? What do you think? Yeah, quite good. Heading. This is a trick question. How can I, it's a trick question and it's unfair to you. How can I ask you to say, yeah, what level? How can I ask you to say whether it's good when I haven't told you what level it is and I haven't told you anything about what that level means? That's the key question. This is why we need standards. It's actually a B1 level in the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. Now, the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages is one potential standard that can be used to construct education systems. It can be used to construct a curriculum. It can be used to construct the objectives of that curriculum and the nature of the course. It can be used to inform delivery. It can be used to inform teacher training. It can be used to inform the materials development, and what it's been used mostly for is to inform the assessment systems. The Common European Framework is one potential framework, and you may have other frameworks depending on your region of the world, and you might develop your own local framework. These are all relevant, but what's important is that you have a central document which says what the skills are and what are the different levels for the skills. Now, if I were to tell you, the example you read was corresponding to a B1 student, you'd want to know what's B1 and what specific descriptor in B1 are we going to test. And this is where we would come in to use the concrete criteria from the standard. In this example, I'll give you 10 seconds just to read that. The criteria here that we can see, the principal criteria here that we can see in blue is generic, but it's very specific as well. So it's a B1 descriptor for a specific type of writing. Rules are a bit like similar to notes. It's not an abstract topic, which would be more corresponding to B2 and above, but it does require the student to be able to get their point over comprehensively. So that's why this is the best descriptor from the CEFR that represents that task. teachers can be supported by thinking, they read the example, they look at the descriptor, they think, does the example focus on the content? Yes, it does. Does it focus on a range of sentences related to concrete situations? Yes, quite well. Are frequently used structures generally accurate? Yeah, they do that very well, actually. They use basic linking words and it's comprehensible. So if we're to grade this on one of three levels, where we can say, well, we're answering no to some on all of the questions, that would be, it's not quite meeting that criteria. If we answer yes to all of them, we can say, yeah, it's meeting it. If we say yes very well to some or all, it's actually going beyond this. So this is a very, while this is a summative approach, because they're being given a clear evaluation at the end of the day, it fits well within a formative approach to the class, because they may have been asked to do similar tasks previously, and then for this one they're actually given a formal grade by the teacher. And more importantly, the teacher's able to give this type of feedback to the students. This is actually for a teacher standardization session, but you can see that the feedback's very specific, measurable, action-bound, realistic. It's very, very focused on the nature of the task, not some subjective opinion about a teacher who hasn't been given any particular criteria. Yeah, I can show the PDFs, yeah. So, coming to the end there, a framework for classroom assessment. Point 1, you need standards. The CEFR is one standard, it's a useful standard, but any set of local, national or international standards can be used. This needs to inform everything: curriculum, delivery, and assessment. For assessment, which is what we're concerned with in this session, teachers need to take a largely formative approach. They can use quizzes, progress tests, which are similar in format, a bit less formal than to normal tests, but also the other really good assessment tools and activities such as observation, self-peer assessment, and reflection. This is what's done most of the time. Why? To improve learning. Summative focus is done at snapshot points in the course, and the aim of the formative focus is to make their performance on the summative tests, when they're done, as likely as possible to be the best version of themselves. And this would include traditional tests such as placement wouldn't be in learning, but achievement and proficiency tests. Out of those three, obviously you can't prepare a student for a placement test, but achievement test, yes. This is probably the most common type of test that you'd be working towards after a semester or a year of academic study. So my recommendations, just to repeat, teach to clear standards, align the education system, and focus on assessment for learning mostly. Thank you.
Massive thanks to you, Aidan. Thank you very much for sharing such important insights. We definitely think that there is a long road, still a long road, not only in Peru, but I would say worldwide in terms of assessment literacy. There are so many aspects that need to accompany teachers in this process of develop capacity to apply this new paradigm for assessment that is linking more closely the teaching and assessment. We could see several comments there that seem to be in full agreement with that. Contrary to what used to happen in the past, which was primarily assessment for summative processes. Yes.
Well, I will share the PowerPoint, the latest version of the PowerPoint with you, and you can send it to everyone.
Yes, we have sometimes maybe there are some questions in the chat that you could address.
Sure.
So our audience, I bet there will be an explosion of questions there. Questions and comments. They enjoyed your presentation. Very thankful. If there is one, there was one question. I don't know if it was stated in terms of a question like some minutes ago, and they said that about the examples that you presented, that sometimes it was better to not to start like sort of having a task completed without making sure that previous support was given, because these early mistakes might sort of remain fossilized.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where, I mean, that's just an example of activities or teaching activities that you do, like questioning, observation, or questioning observation, what we do in every class. And they are a form of assessment. So really to think about the questions that you're asking the students and getting your students to ask questions back to you is a really great way of seeing where they are in their understanding or their ability somewhere. Actually, someone asked for more examples of formative assessment. A lot of the examples that I've used come from an academic paper, which I can share with you, and people can read it at their leisure. It has some nice, in fact, very better, more useful than the presentation itself for that. Yeah.
Well, I guess if there are no further questions, we can, I guess, let you
go to bed.
Yes, this is bedtime for you. We really appreciate your presence. I guess you have started a conversation that will continue today in the next block, which we will be discussing about rubrics, but basically for class observation in the initial teacher training system. And I bet what you have provided as input here will be a great great insights to start from in the coming moment, and also be revisiting along the year. This would be a great moment also to mention the participation and the support from the Directorate for Initial Teacher Training. We've got a specialist in English language teacher training. And this presentation is actually being broadcasted or streamed through their channels. And it will be great to resort to some more of your resources in the future, so we could help with more opportunities for this continuous learning, capacity building process, where the DFOID or the Directorate for Initial Teacher Training is involved.
Right. I'll send you that article and.
Oh, this is an interesting question, and we could take advantage of the last 2 minutes that we have with you. How can formative assessment be effectively applied for 45 students? I bet you have some brilliant ideas around
that. It is, the more students that you have in the class, the more difficult, the more challenging it is for you to capture the information. So it's really important to train the students and give them achievable activities. So here we're thinking for formative and summative assessments are the answer. But you're going to say, but how do I know that they're going to take them seriously? Through the summative assessment. So you need to make sure that they, again, if we go back to my example of the presentations, 12 weeks, 4 presentations. 3 are formatively assessed. So the students have to do peer and self-evaluation, and they're clearly aware that the skills that they're developing in those 3 will help them be as successful as possible in the fourth. So this is an example of how summative assessment can have an extremely positive force on the students' willingness to do the formative assessment. If the students are reluctant to do the formative assessment, you can give the formative assessments a summative angle. So only on submitting if they submit their 3 self-assessments, they get a 5% increase on their final grade. So thinking of ways of leveraging summative assessment in the classroom to get them to engage with the formative approach, which I fully agree with can be challenging. And I have another article on that if you want me to send that.
Great. Well, I guess we have gone past the time, but it would be also great to take advantage of your kind time now. How about providing with feedback for a large number like that? What alternatives could teachers or teacher trainers have? Would group feedback be something important to resort to, or peer feedback?
Feedback is if you're working with objectives, like I've suggested, and you're working with a set of standards, and you're able to focus on specific can-dos, maybe 1, 2, or 3 can-dos that are related to, and we're talking about productive skills here. The feedback that you would give students in a class which all has a similar level is going to be quite similar. The students who did it, who struggled, the students are doing it okay, and the students who are doing it in an excellent way. So the real key here is to make sure that everything's focused on a specific objective from the beginning. If we're just doing speaking to give opinions, this is still too vague. This needs to be speaking, an aspect of speaking at a specific level. Is it abstract? Is it familiar? What's the topic? What's the vocabulary sets and the grammatical structures, to make it as specific as possible so that you don't have to, so that something's always relevant for all of the students. So it's really linked to having clear standards and focusing on specific elements of those standards.
All right, now we're not going to make any more use of your time. Thank you very much again, Ida. It was great to have you. Thank you for such brilliant
It was great to be here.
presentation. And I would like to pass on the message from one of our participants who kindly requests to be shared with links. You refer to some research papers and useful links. Probably during the upcoming days, you could share it with Martin and Giselle or myself. So in the email that we write to them to complete a survey, they can also receive those links that would be of high interest for them.
Absolutely. We'll do that now.
Fabulous. All right, I guess
Thanks.
that's all from us.
Okay, have a great conference.
Thank you very much. Couldn't be any greater. It was you here starting the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Bye-bye.
All right. Now it is time for me to take over the floor. Allow me to share my screen just a little moment so I can start sharing my screen. Can you see it in presentation mode? I'm afraid not, right? Yes. Can you see the full screen? Martin, can you confirm that? Hello. Can you see my full screen?
Yes, William, we can.
Fabulous. All right. So I will get started. Once again, thank you very much. I have been speaking to you along these 2 days, and some of you already know me. My name is William Machaca. I am Education Projects Manager at British Council. I am delighted to have you all in this room, and particularly today because I know there is a great number of students and teacher trainers from initial teacher training schools and institutes around the country, where I had the pleasure also to work with for some time back in the last decade. It was a great experience, and it is with great pleasure that here I can share this part of the presentation. Our presentation today will have to do with rubrics in initial teacher training, and basically to run class observation. It, I think that is a key point of discussion, and I would like you to share with you your first thoughts based also on the insights that I provided in the presentation today, which I said was going to be very useful for this second moment. No? Now, when we speak about using rubrics in the initial teacher training schools for teacher trainers, what do you mean that the main purpose for that would be? What type of assessment should govern the processes and even the design of the rubrics that we are about to start speaking about? Formative. Great. Well, I have one comment. If we talk about our experience in initial teacher training, when we have the use of rubrics, so mainly the purpose of those rubrics as tools for class observation are formative. Yes. Would it help any summative purposes too? Apparently not, which is great, because that is what we should state right from the beginning. We should see class observation in initial teacher training as having a growth mindset, a non-deficit approach right from the start. The idea is to develop capacities in teachers and not to pinpoint weaknesses. I think that is a good point to start with our conversation. Yes, it's. I can read some comments about the lack of capacities in the creation or the design of rubrics, which is definitely a skill that needs to be developed. And today, luckily, I will be sharing with you some relevant resources where you can resort to in case you find yourselves in need of elaborating a better or designing better observation rubrics. But before that, let me tell you about our plan for today, and I'll let you know why I say our plan and not my plan. First of all, we're going to briefly have a look at the significance of effective teacher trainer development and the role of observation. Then we will go through an introduction, which I consider very important, to the British Council Teacher Educators CPD framework, continuing the professional development. Then a quick view at the power of rubrics in teacher trainers class, and then after that, after a revisit to this application of rubrics, we will have a great incorporation to this workshop of someone from the initial teacher training directorate at the Ministry of Education. Well, when we speak about the significance of teacher trainer, teacher educator development, definitely these four aspects should be considered. Definitely the importance of you being part of the conversations yesterday, the discussions on how to improve the whole ELT system is basically because we need to articulate initial teacher training into the whole education system so that articulation can support that improvement that we expect to take place. We need to strengthen the system with more articulated approach of all levels. So it is very important to consider a teacher development, a teacher trainer development framework, because it would help shape future teachers. You as teacher trainers are in a way responsible for shaping the future teachers, and also the initial teacher training scenario is the best one to disseminate best practice to drive educational change, which was so evident yesterday with the presence of initial teacher training at the discussion panel. I hope you didn't miss in the last part of the day 2 of our ELT week. And definitely it is in your hands, the ability to empower teachers. Now, in this process, the role of rubrics play a key role. No, the function, the purpose of it is very important. First, because it helps provide insight into practice. It provides and facilitates targeted feedback. It helps us reflect and promote teacher trainer reflection, as well as teachers also in the schools. It definitely helps ensure quality control. And the most important part, I think, is creating a culture for continuous development, for continuous improvement. Observing the rubrics as a means to generate or help us continue with that cycle of improvement. As Aidan very well mentioned, these three key elements: curriculum, instruction, and assessment. We need to have that clearly stated, and around that to mobilize all the elements that need to be mobilized in order to continuously improve the teacher's knowledge, the teacher's skills, and the approaches to learning or development. Now, I can see some interesting comments there in terms of the role that initial teacher training schools have. Say, shaping future teachers means preparing individuals for this complex but rewarding profession of teaching. It is about providing the necessary tools, knowledge, and support for them to become effective teachers. That's actually one key reward of being a teacher. And definitely, I guess the biggest motivation for us teachers is how rewarding it can become to be these agents of change in society. Great comment. Thank you. Then, what else do you think that a rubric, what other purpose do you think that rubrics can have? So the chat is open for you. We said providing insight into practice, facilitating targeted feedback, promoting reflective thinking, quality control comes as no surprise to this list, and definitely generating this cycle of improvement and strengthening. Great. We have Magda also with a comment saying that such a teacher is important to have, and it's again, it is a nice split of the different areas of continuous improvement, knowledge, skills, and these approaches to development that we will see. Well, I will introduce to you into the world of the opportunities that the British Council offers regarding initial teacher trainings or teacher educators. As Aiden said, we should all have standards right at the heart of all the processes that we mobilize, these elements in this triangle with three main elements. No, we have curriculum, instruction, and assessment. But at the core of this, we should have clear standards. But part of those, as you can see, will be reflected here. This is a framework, a CPD framework that the British Council has, and it is basically aimed at establishing these areas of development for teacher trainers. Graham, in the first presentation, made this fantastic presentation on the CPD for English teachers. This definitely is connected with it. It has a lot of areas that are intersecting or that are similar, but in this case, basically oriented or focused on the education for future teachers. We will see Teaching English, our global program, offers a great source for that. You will see that if you open the link that we will be sharing for Teaching English, you will find that there are two main drop-down options. We have one for teachers. So the CPD that was presented by Graham on Wednesday basically had to do with these different teaching practices. And we also have this for teacher educators, where initial teacher trainers and trainees should look into. These are, as you can see, quite similar teaching practices. But in this case, they are geared towards teacher training. It is about the different aspects that are key and relevant. So I will speak a little bit more about this. So this is what makes our CPD for teacher educators. And it is, as I showed in the first slides, it comprises three main domains. One of knowledge, the other one of skills, and the other one to approaches to development. Again, we will be sharing those links in a minute. As my co-presenter starts doing the presentation, I will be sharing it in the chat box. You will find in these pages wealth of resources. It is not only basic information on the descriptors of the framework, but also lots of different resources in terms of publications, training, webinars, teaching resources, and also something that you should be aware of and you should connect with, which are these communities of practice that also Graham covered at the beginning of our ELT week. So these are key elements that you will find. And great, it is, again, as I said, it is a wealth of resources that you will find there. Now, a quick look into each of those domains. In knowledge, basically, what the CPD framework includes are knowing the subject, which would be knowing, having an effective level of communicative skills in English, how the language works, theories of learning, all what we do in escuelas and institutos públicos de formación pedagógica. Understanding the educational context, that is another domain. within that framework, which I think we were happy to throw some light on yesterday during our panel discussions. We had Hermana Rosa from Pedagógico de Camaná sharing the thoughts from the perspective of her own institution, but also, I bet, reflecting some perceptions that are shared in the initial teacher training sector, understanding, teaching, learning. So that all comprises what we include in the domain of knowledge. Then when we speak about planning teacher learning, that is speaking about skills, we have planning, teaching, learning. We have managing, teaching, learning, evaluating, teaching, learning, supporting professional development, adopting inclusive practices, and supporting remote learning. Nowadays, that online or remote learning is becoming more a necessity than a luxury. And today, basically, with this presentation, what we would, in a way, be working more strongly on are in terms of developing skills in these two categories, in evaluating teacher learning and also in supporting ongoing professional development. That's what I started with at the beginning when I said that we should see the use of rubrics with a perspective that is non-deficit, that has a growth mindset with a positive purpose, with the purpose of constructing, building on the capacities that our student teachers bring into the institutos or escuelas settings. So basically, the use of rubrics should help and support the development of future teachers professionally. And for that, I think that spaces like this are key. Adopting inclusive practices, which is another core element in our framework, and also supporting remote learning, as I said. And the last dimension is the last domain in the framework is approaches to development, where we have a look at how the teacher trainers are taking responsibility for their own professional development and also contributing to the profession. And definitely having you here speaks a lot about that category of taking responsibility for your own professional development. As I said at the beginning, when I introduced the program, we truly acknowledge your presence here, because that definitely represents that true responsibility that you all hold for your own professional development, and speaks a lot about how passionate you are in the field, in basic education and English language initial teacher training. Well, the power of rubrics, I'm not going to take more time. I have already passed my time. The power of rubrics in class observation, you have demonstrated to have a deep understanding of that. I'm not going to describe, because you already know what a rubric looks like and what purposes a rubric can have. But why do they matter? They matter in different senses. First, because through the rubrics, we can establish clearly the expected performances or expectations through the descriptors that we referred to in the first presentation. So a rubric, if nicely designed, can be a great tool to make sure or to secure that objectivity and consistency are both considered in class observation. The clarity of expectations, as I just mentioned, and something that is key is the targeted feedback that is required. No, if we align assessment with teaching or teacher training, definitely the use of rubrics will be the most valuable tool, because as we said, in that cycle or in that process that includes assessment, remember the 3 moments of assessment? What was the first moment? What is assessment? What do we do? If we describe assessment or evaluation, what are those 3 key moments? Remember with Aidan, when he presented one of the first slides, there were 3 moments. So evaluation was described as a process. The first process is collecting information through a tool, an activity. To do what? If I can see an answer there, well, I'm afraid. Yes, we collect information through the application of these tools. Then we do the evaluation. Yes, we make a judgment to see if the teacher trainer or the teacher trainee has been reaching what is expected in the descriptors. And then the third, yeah, perfect. And the third moment is to make a decision. No? And how are we going to make that happen if we do not provide with proper feedback and with timely feedback? Then, if we get to the moment of making a decision, we should activate some action points. So that is the idea behind the use of formative assessment, not to follow that process, to reach to making a decision. But the decision for us is, as one of you pointed out in the presentation by Aidan, that said that 90 or 80% of assessment should be addressed to formative purposes. No? Then this would be, the use of rubrics would be truly formative if we take careful action on feedback. No? We provide with the feedback, we establish an action path, an action course to improve what needs to be improved and to keep strengthening what is strong. Self-reflection, data-driven development by no means are very important in the use of rubrics. Now, applying rubrics, a practical approach, this is very intuitive, something that you already do pre-observation, during observation, post-observation feedback. And again, the key moment of feedback would be sustaining these 3 elements. It helps us demonstrate how to provide constructive feedback based on the data that we collect, which tends to be mostly qualitative, criterion-based. It should be focused on specific examples. No, if the rubric is clear enough, it will indicate how to move from a level that needs improvement to the most optimal level. And then once again, the action planning for improvement is essential. And more important than that is that some action is taken after that decision is made. Now, and something that Aidan also mentioned, connecting rubrics and assessment to the CPD framework, having the CPD framework at the heart of it, at the heart of the whole process, is another thing that we need to keep in mind. Self-evaluation. So this is like a practical approach to it, but definitely I couldn't think of anybody better than Giancarlo to join us. Giancarlo will now take over the room Giancarlo graduated from the National University of Education, Enrique Guzmán y Valle. His professional journey includes roles as a teacher and as a teacher trainer at Liceo Naval Almirante Grau. He was an English coordinator at COART ICA. He's got a long road walked in the field. He also taught IB programs, and he's currently the English specialist at DFOIT. So once again, it is my pleasure to announce the presence of Giancarlo, and I bet he will continue with this, but in a more focused experience based on initial teacher training schools. So let's give a warm welcome to Giancarlo. Andy.
Thank you so much, William. Thank you for your presentation. Actually, that was the introduction to what I will present now. I will be sharing my presentation. Okay. Okay. Well, William was explaining about what is the role of rubrics, and I will explain you. I will be more specific in what the class observation rubric is for teacher trainers. So this is a document, this is an assessment instrument that we use to assess the progress of a teacher trainer. You know? So in this presentation, I will explain the purpose of this rubric, the stages for assessment, and the assessment criteria. What is the purpose of this assessment instrument? First, we really need to know that this curricular design is our Bible. The foundations, all the strategies that we can use for higher education. So we really need to know this document, and the class observation rubric will be very useful to check, to observe if everything is working. That's why the rubric is important, so the teachers can be aware of what is expected in class. Also, the rubric is important to strengthen teaching skills, because if we know the indicators, if we know what we have to do in class, then little by little we are going to enhance our performance in class. And well, as a consequence, you will boost your teaching performance or your teaching skills. The stages of assessment, as William was explaining, it has three parts or three stages. The first one is before observation. So what do we do before the observation? It's really important to share the rubric so the teacher trainer is aware of what they have to perform in class. That is the first step, and it's maybe the most important part. Otherwise, it will be a little bit unfair to assess something or to assess someone who doesn't know what the criteria are. Secondly, is that it's really important as well to check the lesson plan, both the leader, or in this case, the specialist, or the person in charge, so both can understand what is the purpose of the lesson plan. You know? And well, that is before observation. During the observation, we have the rubric which we are going to use to observe the class, and also it's very important as well to snapshot the most important moments of the teacher performance. So it can work in the reflection part, no? And finally, we have the after observation, which we are going to encourage the teacher trainer to self-reflect the performance, and also we are going to give the feedback. No? After this process, no, after we analyze the class, the performance, the strategies, then we may have some agreements. So so we can see a progress in time. These are the stages of assessment. And here we have something that it's also important. For me, everything is important. So the rubric has 3 criteria. The first criteria is teaching strategies. Here is the first part of the rubric. No? As we can see, there are 4 indicators. I will explain a little what are the key elements of each indicator. In the first one, the key element of that indicator is critical thinking. So I ask a question to all of you. How do we develop critical thinking in our lessons, in our class? So I will give you some time to think about it. How do we develop critical thinking in class? I can see some comments in the chat. Analyzing problems, solving riddles, or brain teasers with CCQ, no? Concept checking question. Good. Maria Elena, that's great. Through questions, asking their opinions. That's good. I will show you one strategy, but it's not the only one. Of course, you are a specialist. You master your discipline. You have more examples than me. I'm just pointing out one example. Higher order thinking skills. Second, the second indicator is teaching strategies. Well, as you know, we are part of the ELT world, so we have a lot of strategies. So the question is, what strategies do you usually do in class? I can give you one example, but I want to see your comments. What strategies do we use in class related to the ELT? No? It depends on the level. Yes, that's correct. That's great. It means that the teacher manage different strategies for different levels. That is something important. Oral discussions, good, good. What else do we have? We have a Sherlita, she says, promote problem-solving activities. Good. Yes, actually, that's a methodology, no? That's correct. PBL, no? Problem-based learning, PBL. By the way, PBL and project-based learning are a part of the pedagogical foundations in our curricular design. Okay, great. So I will give you one strategy. Of course, I repeat, it's not the only one. I'm just giving it as an example, but of course, you have more examples in mind. I wrote Think for the Share, which is one strategy for ELT world. Let's go to the next indicator. Digital literacy. It means that what we have to observe in class is that the teacher trainer can be able to use different technological resources. For example, here I have a question for you. What digital platforms are in class? I will first give use. We have world. We have yes, of course. We have the slides, no, live worksheets, world with Kahoot, yes, Kahoot, world, Meta AI, good. That's one. Jorge Vidal, no, Meta AI. Yes, actually, the advantage or the bright sides of the ELT world is that we have a lot of platforms that we can use in class. That's really good. Finally, in the criterion number one, we have researching skills. Researching skills is also really important to develop in class. So my question is, how do you develop researching skills? Remember that our students, by the end of the program, they will have to hand in a thesis, no? So how do we, from the very beginning, from the first cycle, how do we develop researching skills in our students? That is a really good question, Kathy Cáceres. What if we do not have internet? Well, actually, internet is a tool, but it's not the only way how we can develop researching skills. Maybe the teacher can bring some worksheets, and then you can share it among all your students, and they have to check, they have to revise, they have to find a specific information, and actually that can be one of the one strategy, so you can develop researching skills. What else can we do if we don't have internet? Well, the same. The teacher can bring some worksheets, maybe a reliable source, and maybe we can make students compare a reliable source with something that is not that reliable. No? Maybe it can be an example. No? Actually, teachers are very creative to develop or to achieve this kind of indicators. I will give you one example. Reliable sources. No, it's one. Of course, there are different ways how we can achieve this indicator. So this is criteria one. So the question is, if the teacher can, if we can observe these strategies in class, then actually the teacher is going pretty well. No? The next one. Let's go to the next. Criterion number 2. Pedagogical interactions. Well, as you know, we also develop social skills, which are very important. Actually, for me, everything is important. But the first element for the first indicator is interaction. Actually, I was reading some strategies. For example, how can we encourage students to interact? I was reading some comments before. I read working pairs, no? or teamworks, no? Actually, but also we can use different strategies, no? For example, think, share, 136 protocol. What else? Gallery walk, no? What else? Reading jigsaw, for example, it can be also an option. That is interaction. And here we have some examples, no? Working pairs, group work, and well. Number 2, teacher's aptitude. And here, yes, I really think that all of us agree that English teacher always have good aptitude among students. Actually, I can say in my experience that the English teachers are always the students' favorite teachers. And well, that is because we always show this passion to teach, and also we are very, we create this good bonds among students, so that's something that we have to observe in class as well. No? one of the key elements in the teacher's aptitude is we should respect our students. We should be tolerant. Why? Because we are also the role models of our students. Remember that what you do is something that your students will likely doing it when they work. Then we have teamwork. As you notice, this criterion aims to develop social skills, and which is very important since we are teachers and we also are developing students' skills so they can work with children, with teenagers, and well, that's why it's also important. Finally, we have the last criterion, which is formative assessment. In the formative assessment, we have 3 indicators. The first one is assessment. What does it mean? It means that in this part, we observe if the teacher is able to use different strategies and different assessment instruments. For example, surveys, quizzes, polls, rubrics, checklists, something that we can use to assess the students' learning process. Then we have motivation. We usually discuss when do we have to encourage our students, if at the beginning, in the middle of the class, or maybe at the end. And well, we can say that motivation should be during the whole moment of the lesson. We should keep our students motivated. We should keep our students motivated since the very beginning until the end. Actually, what teachers should do is to make students aware that they need to learn. There is a reason why they're learning and why learning English is important for them. In this case, in initial teacher training, it's really important to get our students the proficiency of the language. That can be a great motivation. Motivation AOL decision. Yeah, that's correct. Marilena says we should set and celebrate progress milestones in our students. Yes, that's it. That's the aptitude. The whole learning process. Yes, I think that we as teachers we understand how positive is the aptitude in class. And well, finally, the feedback. Actually, I read an article where the feedback is the the key element of the learning process. A teacher, we have to feedback the student progress. We have to inform what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses of students and progress. Otherwise, students will be receiving the scores, and that's not the point. Effective feedback. Okay, so I was trying to summarize the class observation rubric. I am very sure that all of you know these key elements: critical thinking, teaching strategies, digital literacy, researching skills, interaction, teacher's aptitude, teamwork, assessment, motivation, and feedback. So, as teacher trainers, we should merge all these elements into one class. If we do that, it means that we are doing a great job. If something is missing, it's okay, don't worry. As William said, the purpose of this is to enhance, to boost your teaching skills. And it's something, I mean, if we have to work in something, then it's okay. We can work, we can progress, because the point is to boost my teaching skill as a teacher trainer and as a teacher trainer, and also to have an impact in our students' learning process. William, I think that I reached the time. Oh, your microphone is off.
You have gone past by 20 minutes approximately, but that's okay. We're still within time. Just kidding. Thank you very much. I would like to ask you for some final reflections on key points on the use of rubrics as part of class observation. However, I would like to share, to mention that I have already shared the link to the professional development framework for teacher educators. You will find it in the chat box. Then I also shared the website for teacher educators, where you will find all the resources that I mentioned. I will be sharing them again here so you can see it. I have seen a recurring comment on the need to have some more, a deeper look into rubrics and how to design them and what criteria to use it. Again, as Aidan pointed out, it should not be seen as a one-size-fits-all solution. No, but what should govern the way we manage the use of these different class observation tools should have at the heart that purpose of enhancing student-teacher abilities and capacities, so we can better prepare them to face the always rewarding work and field of English language teaching. The better prepared they are, the better the impact they will make in the education system. I will be sharing, if you allow me, you give me a second, I will be sharing those links again. And maybe share some reminders. But as I get the links, dearest Giancarlo, some final reflections on this.
Okay. First, this assessment instrument is useful so we can enhance our teaching skills. I think that sometimes we have to change the traditional mindset of the assessment process. But here we are working so this instrument can work as something that will help us. You know? I think that will be my reflection by the end of this presentation.
Fabulous. Hold on a sec. I am just sharing with you the framework itself. Okay, and then I will share with you the actual website. There are some the ways that this assessment tool, and I guess when we were discussing and sort of planning this shared presentation, Giancarlo, you remarked that there is some sort of alignment, or at least to mention how this CPD framework that we manage at British Council for Teacher Educators and also English language teachers speak to the Marco del Buen Desempeño Docente. There are some shared dimensions and domains and even some descriptors remember that those, in the case of teacher training, would set the standards, with some levels of progression that we need to be aware. Thank you, Magda. And thank you all for being such active in the chat, so respectful, considered, and basically have this spirit to contribute to the conversation and to the construction of this community. If you find also on the Facebook, there is one specific community of practice for ELT educators. It was referred to in the first presentation. So I would advise you to join those groups. And there you will have so many opportunities, not only to connect with colleagues in country, but also with colleagues abroad. There are, as I go to work in the mornings, I can, many days when on my way to work, I just connect to those Facebook live events, which can be a great way to spend that time that we sometimes need to find something more useful to do rather than spending only in like in transportation. So these are great opportunities that you will find through our resources, and we truly thank you for being present at this event right from the beginning. Massive thanks to all of you, to Giancarlo, for this brilliant way to sort of contextualize what you're doing at the Ministry of Education in terms of the application of these rubrics. And it's great to see that the main purpose, the main driver for the use of these assessment tools are not focused on administrative purposes, but informative in strengthening purposes for educating much better teachers. I think that is key to remark when we discuss that agreement that is basic around that purpose, that main goal behind the use of these rubrics that the FOID uses is providing with an opportunity to enhance the capacities, not only of those who are playing the great role of being teacher educators, but also having an impact in future teachers and definitely having a greater impact in the wider society and the education system, meaning basic education, initial education. Yes, there is still class planning, supported by artificial intelligence. So I will be sharing, or we will be sharing with you a slide where you will get to know a little bit more about our next presentation. It is a true pleasure for me to introduce the last session, not because it is the last, but I think that because it closes a great, successful, important week for the ELT community. Jessie Dillal is in charge of this last moment. Jessie is an English as a foreign language teacher. He is a researcher. He is a teacher trainer, an adult courses coordinator at the British Council. He is based in Colombia. Most of his work has been training teachers how to teach pronunciation and using AI, as it was pointed out in the chat. It is great to know that expectation has been placed among you. He has presented at British Council symposia as at BIVAL, TESOL Colombia, TESOL Peru. For those of you who were not able to join the annual convention, Peru TESOL in Arequipa, or join our online course that we had here in Lima for all the country. Well, a piece of good news is the possibility, it hasn't been confirmed yet, but Jessie might be joining us for Peru TESOL this year. Two And obviously, we're going to take full advantage of his presence back in Peru to generate another space with you and for you. All right. Without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce and to give the floor to our dear Jesse.
Hello, hello. Hi, William. Thank you so much for that very nice, very kind introduction. So I guess, shall I take over from here? Is that okay?
Yes, floor is all yours.
Awesome. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for all of you coming out to have a look at this training session. I'm going to share my screen. And just as a start, before we start, just to let you know, this session is intended to be very practical, very hands-on. I would like your participation in the chat, as I see you've been doing. I've also got some activities that you can do in breakout rooms with each other, and hopefully everything runs really smoothly and we don't have any problems with the technical stuff. I mean, just to get the ball rolling, I've got some sentences about using AI. Just important information when using AI. Please remember there are some do's and don'ts on the screen. If you want, you can shout them out. What do you think these missing words are? Or you can type them in the chat and we'll go from there. Let's see. Yeah, Maria Elena, you got it. So do not, when you're using AI, try not to enter any information, any personal data about students. Data, very good, Maria. Maria Elena Zambrana, you're on it. Or anything where learners can be identified. You know, data protection is very, very important, especially in terms of AI and how these platforms online are using people's data. These are areas that are not very clear yet, so we do want to be very discreet when we're thinking about students' information. Second one, nice, Kelly and Maria, you got it in the chat. Yeah, do not use AI to generate facts and present them as so. AI basically, at least at the moment, all it is just a big collector of information and a presenter. So, you know, a filter is what it's not. So you as the human, you're going to have to be the filter to decide whether, okay, are these things true? Are they not? You might have to do some extra research on your own. And the last one, yep, Guadalupe Liao, you got it. Do sense check anything you use in class which is generated through AI. Yeah. And the last one, we say take a sense check. Always, I mean, AI, like anything else, is a tool. It's there to work together with us. Like the idea for at least what we're going to see in the next 60 minutes is not just like go to ChatGPT and ask it to plan a class for you, but you know, you might have to refine ideas. You might have to tailor them, change them a little bit in order for them to be applicable to your own learners. And this is very important. So the idea is, please don't just take everything you get off AI and use it in your lessons. You will have to put in that human element in order for those classes to be effective and for your students to be engaged. And of course, the last one, do only use yourself and don't ask learners to use AI in class at home. This one, maybe we'll talk about this one at the end. This one could be maybe yes, maybe no. I'll put a little asterisk here so that we can come back to it at the end of the session. Ooh, that's not it. There we go. All right, so just before we start, I'd like to thank Dan Flynn, Minerva James from Dan Flynn from BC Colombia, Minerva James from BC Chile, and myself. We all worked together to bring this session to you. So I do want to thank them publicly, personally, at the beginning. All right, so let's have a look. I'm sure everybody knows who this is. If you can just type the name really quickly in the chat, that'd be wonderful. Daniel Radcliffe. Oh, yeah, Kelly, you're not wrong, Kelly. That is Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter. Nice, excellent. So the first thing we're going to do is a little task. I'll put you into breakout rooms, and I want you to write a description of Harry Potter's appearance. So we might need to use things like the verb to be, body parts, colors, have or has got. Oh, we got the Harry James Potter, Jorge Vidal, as a serious fan there. Very nice. Without mentioning his name. So the key to the task is you cannot mention his name in the description. You cannot mention anything associated with him. So schools like the school Hogwarts or Magic or his friends, Hermione or Ron. And you're going to have to do this in under 100 words. And I'll give you 5 minutes to do this in a breakout room with some partners, and then I'll pick 2 or 3 just for you to see how AI can work with descriptions in order to generate images. One thing I will ask is that you do it in a Microsoft Word document and save the document so you can share it with me in the chat, just because I won't be able to copy text from the Zoom chat directly. Please take a screenshot. I'm going to organize you into some breakout rooms and get your, all right, so we have breakout rooms of 9 or 10. Let's change that. So we've got maybe 5 or 6 people in each breakout room. I'll come into a few. Obviously, I won't have time to check everybody's, but yeah, if I can get a quick yes or ready in the chat, I'll open the breakout rooms and you can start that task. Remember, you have 100 words. Please do it in a Microsoft Word document. Nice. I think if Karina Collado is ready, Diana Guadalupe is ready, I think everybody's going to be ready. So please work together in your chat. Maybe select one person to actually do the writing and save the text on a Microsoft Word document. And then we'll see, maybe we'll get a few people's examples and see how we can use AI to do a nice class activity and generate image. Let's go. I'll give you 5 minutes in the breakout rooms. Coming back in, let's wait 1 minute. I'm not sure if you had
Recording in progress.
I'm not sure if you had a chance to do the task together. But oh, okay, nice. Karen's got. Okay, Karen, can you put it into a Word document and share the Word document? Because I can't copy from the Maria Elena the same. Can you put it into a Microsoft Word document? Because I can't take the text from Zoom. I don't think so. Let me see if I can copy this. Copy. Oh, maybe I can. Let me see. Yes, I can. Okay. All right. Nice. Okay. I'm going to just take the first three and let's just have a look here. So one example that we can use of an AI generated image activity in class is by asking your students to write. For example, this could be a task designated for A1 or A2 learners who are learning how to use descriptions. And basically, if you go to this website called OpenAI, openart.ai, basically I think it's the same people that make ChatGPT. All right, we have a few. All right, so I've got Karen's description here, and let's just see. In the OpenAI, you've got things like credits, you've got things like descriptions. Here where it says prompt, this is where you can put in your descriptions, and ask the AI to create an image for you. It'll take a few seconds, and then you can see. So this first one was mine that I did, maybe just as an example to show you. Okay, all right, nice. So we have this one here. This one's from Karen. Let's see. I've got the second one here. Copy. Nice. Paste. Create. So let's take a few seconds to copy. This is maybe Maria Elena's. Nice. No worries, Karen. If you're on your phone, Jorge Vidal, let's have a look at yours. Copy that. Stick it into the prompt. So this is something that you can do with your students by asking them to write descriptions and then seeing basically how their descriptions can come to life. Let's see here, 11-year-old British boy with round glasses. Let's see what image comes up. Nice, all right. Let's do one or two more. Maricris Guzman, maybe. I'm gonna take yours. I'll take just two more. And finally, I'll take one from Roemer Tuesta. Thank you so much. Copy and paste and then create. So all of these, as you might see at the top right, you'll see like trial credits. You'll see 5 credits will be charged. So basically, all of these, all of your, yeah, no worries. All of your descriptions are fine. Like they all create something that look like Harry Potter. One activity that could be a possibility with this is maybe have a vote with your students. For example, which one do you think is the best? Which one do you think is the worst? What you might want to do with your students is ask who did it best, and you can maybe put some screenshots here. So for example, you can have all your pictures here from Roemer, from see, yeah, sorry. So you forgot to mention Lily's eyes. Lily's green eyes, Jorge. Natalie, sorry, it was just the last one and I didn't have time. But no, here you can have, for example, your students vote and say which one they think is the best or the one they like the most. And just thinking about how we might be able to exploit AI images in class. So this is one thing that we could do. As I said, it might be designated towards A1, A2 learners. You might give them maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Of course, you're all perfect at English, amazing. But for your learners, this might come after a class where you look at adjectives to describe appearance, maybe nouns, talk about hair or face or glasses. And it could change a writing class into something a little bit more creative. This is one example of an exercise I did with my students. I had some advanced students write about their dream homes. And so one student wrote, this is after they saw vocabulary to describe rooms, to describe location, to describe weather. So he said, my dream house should be located in a warm climate and must have a recording studio along with 2 rehearsal rooms. He loves playing music. One of the rehearsal rooms needs to have electrical instruments and amplifiers, while the other should be equipped with acoustic instruments. It should be quieter and more comfortable space where I can compose new songs. Additionally, there should be a swimming pool in the front part of the house with several chairs and umbrellas around it for sunny days. Finally, for the second floor, it could have a video game room with large windows that offer a view of nature in the swimming pool. We put that into the Open Art AI, and these are the images that it came up with. So not only motivating for things like competitions, but maybe motivating for students for if they want to make plans or create any images. And of course, in this context, the class, he used all the vocabulary that we talked about. So maybe comfortable space, a swimming pool, sunny days, all of these were vocabulary items in the lesson. Nice, Elena, Dalia. Jenny Perez, is there a limit of free generated images given by OpenArt? Yes, there is 100% a limit for the free version. Obviously, you can pay for the full version, but one way to get around this would just be to make extra Gmail or extra email accounts, because basically it gives you free trials per email account. So, you know, I might just have one jesse.dilal@gmail.com and then jesse.dilal2@gmail.com. And for each account, it would give you more free tries or more free credits. Oh, Olga, nice. I like that description there. It's beautiful. Lightning bolt shaped scar on his forehead. Some very particular vocabulary. But yeah, these are all ways that you can use AI to help bring writing to life by using image generating AI. These are a little bit different from what we call the large language models of AI. So those things like ChatGPT, where they can, you know, bring together a lot of information very quickly and then present it to you. But what these do, the ones that we're going to see today, they basically focus on media. So those are some ideas for using image generators in your lessons. I've got some other ideas here that it's a little bit small, so I'm going to make it big. If you can type the missing words in the chat, that'd be great. So for example, using AI generated images in class, you can have story starters and something historical figures and if something science and yeah, nice, Maria. Elena, you're on it. Guadalupe, don't worry, I'll give you not just the link, but I'll give you a list of all the AI platforms that I've used. Nice. Events, descriptions, nice. Okay, everybody's on it. Science and nature, nice. Everybody's on it. So these are all possibilities. And please don't worry, at the end of this presentation, I will share this whole thing with you in a PDF. So don't worry too much. It'll be in the Zoom chat. Fantasy creatures, Alan, you got it. And mythical beings, you know, so they could write things to describe all these different types of not only landscapes, but geography. Nice, Alan, you got it. Science fiction. Oh, I lost it. Science fiction scenarios. All of these are ideas and things that you can have your students write about and bring it to life with AI. Dalila is asking about what about planning the lessons with AI? I wouldn't recommend OpenArt. I would recommend ChatGPT or something like a large language model that gives you explanations and answers. But I would 100% recommend, please review everything that it gives you, because it's not going to be perfect. Sometimes it might even be ineffective for your students. And something that's really important is being specific with the prompt that you give it. So you might have to give it, okay, I want a lesson for A2 students who are 15 to 17 years old, living in Peru, to be able to talk about, just for example, descriptions by using A2 level adjectives. You have to be very specific in the prompt in order to plan the lessons, Dalila. Yeah. Nice. Awesome. Keep the questions coming. I love them. Excellent. So this is another thing that we can do with AI. Brisk is another AI tool. Awesome. Nice. Maria Elena, that sounds good. So we can use AI not only to generate images, but we can use AI to generate audios. So for example, I've got some pictures here. We've got picture A, picture B, picture C, picture D, and we're going to listen to a song that we asked AI to write. The name of the website was udio.com. So it's kind of like studio, but without the ST. And we asked AI to design a song for primary school kids, talking about things that they could be or they might want to be when they grow up in the future. So we're going to do a song order activity. We've got 4 pictures, A, B, C, D. I want you to listen to the song and write the order with the letters of the images that you hear them singing about. So maybe the first one, you hear something about a doctor for picture A. For picture B, you'll hear something with treasure. Picture C, you'll hear something with the moon. And picture D, you'll hear something with the jungle. So when you listen to the song, you have, for example, your students can listen and put these letters in order, in the order that they mention them. So please, in the chat, when you hear the song, write the letters in order that you hear them. Let's go.
When I grow up, no will I do? I'll be a pilot and fly to the moon. When I grow up, what will I see? I'll explore the jungle and find a victory. In the future, I will go to places far and places I know. In the future, I will be anything I dream. Just wait and see. When you grow up, what will you be? I'll be a doctor and help you and me. When you grow up, what will you find? I'll find a treasure so fine. In the future, you will go to places far and places you know.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Beautiful. Okay, everybody's on it. Everybody's on it. Yeah, nice. Yes, it's CDAB. And so this is a nice activity that you can do with your kids. Irene, you have a question? Please feel free to say it or to type it in the chat, whatever you want. Yeah, nice. Raquel, Liliana. Nice. So yeah, maybe Irene, ask you, or Irene is the pronunciation. Can you put your question in the chat and I'll respond to it there, yeah? So we have this song and the idea is exploitation. The idea is to take the lyrics of the song and use something with it. So for example, okay, so this is the correct order. We could have maybe a word jumble. So we give the students these words and they have to put them in order. So for example, yeah, when I grow up, what will I do? And so hearing it, they can put these words in order. I'll play it one more time. You can listen. And one possibility is organizing the words when they listen. The other possibility is just giving them the first letter. So this one is like, in the future, I will go. Let's have a listen. And just so you know, so we asked the AI to write the same song in different styles. So you're going to hear the same song now in a different style.
When I grow up, what will I do? I'll be a pilot and fly to the moon. When I grow up, what will I see? I'll explore the jungle and find a big tree. In the future, I will go to places far and places I know.
They all finish in these guitar rock solos. I don't know why, but maybe that's just what people want. Who knows? I think this is another version here. Let's listen. Yeah, countryside.
When you grow up, what will I do? I'll be a pilot and fly to the moon. When I grow up, what will I see? I'll explore the jungle and find a big tree. In the future, I will go to places far and places I know. In the future, I will be anything I dream. Just wait and see.
Yeah, so you can get different styles. Don't worry, everybody. I'll share all the resources at the end of the session. So literally, you just type into Udio. You say, please. So very similar to what we did on the AI generator. So basically, there will be a link for a prompt. So we can go into Udio. And basically, this is what it's going to look like. You maybe log in or sign in. Yeah, so it already has me as jesse.dalal, so continue as Jesse. And you can have as many Gmail accounts as you want, or Hotmail or whatever. And so, yeah, in here, you'd have like home create library. You go into the create. You can describe your song. You can say if you wanted rock or electronic or pop or jazz, classical, hip hop. You could write your own lyrics, or you can ask them to generate the lyrics. Like everything, it can create the voice, the music, the song, everything. So you can maybe, yeah, we did a little example, a song of Arequipa, for if there's any Arequipa fans or Arequipa people in the in the Zoom chat. Last year we had the TESOL Peru in Arequipa, so we had a little song generated from this website for them. I don't know if you can hear this one. Let me see.
In the heart of Arequipa, under the sun's fiery glow, there's a rhythm that pulses where the Andean winds blow. A melody rises from the cobble streets, it screams. dreams, a guitar strings. Oh, and a keeper, a billion and free. And what would now be better than without us? Under minutes, Peter.
Yeah, so nice. I mean, like I didn't even put anything about Misty or Plaza de Armas, and the AI just knew, man. It just knew. So yeah, you can make it very, very specific for your region. You can make it specific for your students, but you have to be very specific with your prompts. And it's very possible that you make one and you decide, I don't like it, and you have to refine and retouch and change things, and that's normal. And that's how we get accustomed to using it. And again, don't be worried about, like, oh, there's only a limited trial. That's fine. I think that if you want to pay for the full thing, that's fine as well. But you can make many different email accounts and just get free access for as however long you like. Yeah, so these are some exercises that you can do with songs, for example. I mean, if you have a look, for example, here, when I grow up, what will I do? I'll be a pilot and sail the blue. So pilots maybe don't sail. When I grow up, what will I see? I'll explore the desert and find the key. These lyrics are a little bit crazy, a little bit wrong. So this is something that you can have your students do as well, is listen to the song and you correct the mistakes.
Will I do? I'll be a pilot and fly to the moon. When I grow up, what will I see? I'll explore the jungle and find a big tree in the future.
So yeah, I'll explore the jungle and find a big tree. I'll be a pilot and sail to the moon. You can't, yes, Sylvia, you can make the lyrics yourself, or you can ask the AI to make it for you, whatever you prefer. So all of these really, really, really useful, and kids really like songs, art. All these things are really useful for kids. And of course, the last thing, you can have the kids, I would say for me, and just coming back to my first slide here. So this is one recommendation that was given, is that only use yourself and don't ask learners to use AI in class. Some people, this is something that is a little bit controversial. I would recommend asking your learners to use the AI in class and upload it. And then, so for example, with that previous activity talking about, jobs in the future, you can ask your students to write some lyrics, because they've got the rhythm, they've got the melody, they've got the timing already. And so you can just say, okay, so now it's your turn. You are gonna make a song. When I grow up, what will I do? I'll be and you leave this blank for them, and you leave this blank for them, and maybe they have to use will and I'll, and this way they're practicing I'll in a very, very functional way, something that they can just say or sing, and it comes into function in the context, which is very useful. Yeah, when I grow up, what will I see? And you give them some verbs that they can put in this blank, as a place, an object. So true, so green, so blue. So then they can remake the lyrics. They can rewrite the lyrics themselves, depending on their level. And you can ask them to sing it if you want. You can ask them to sing along to one of the audios that you have made. You can ask for the same audio without the vocals in it, and have your students sing along to it with their own lyrics. All of these are ideas that you can use in your own classes, and anything else really, to be honest. All right, nice. So I think I've answered all the questions so far. Let me take a quick look at the chat. Yeah. Nice. Awesome. So I think if you don't have any other questions at the moment, we can continue. So we saw some examples with audios. We saw some examples with images. Yeah, so this was the ChatGPT prompt, or the audio prompt. Can you create a short song for young learner students to help them practice future plans? I think this was a ChatGPT prompt, and then we put the lyrics that ChatGPT made into Udio, and then Udio came up with the lyrics and the vocals and everything. Like it makes the lyrics. You can say if you want a female singer, a male singer, country, Western. The only thing you can't do in Udio is you can't type a singer's name. So you can't say, make me a song like in Taylor Swift style, or you can't say, make me a song in Kanye West style, because then you will infringe copyright rules and they might just block your account. Or they just might not give you the, they might just not give you the product. So be careful with your prompts and not naming any famous people. All right, nice. So we've got a few ideas here. And now we're going to have a look at the last one. El link porfi. Don't worry, Ilda. I'm going to send you all the links at the end. Everybody, don't worry. All right. The last one we're going to look at is a video creating. So you can go to this website called InVideo AI, and there you just you type in a description. Please make me a video for example, we did a world quiz for our students, for primary school students. And basically here, let's have a look at the video. One moment, it's loading. Nice. So the idea is, you ask your kids, maybe it could be about geography or world knowledge. What are the capitals of France, Canada, Brazil, Japan? What do you know about the capitals of these countries? Do you know anything? And basically we asked AI to create a video about this in sort of like a game show style way. Let's have a look at the World Capitals quiz.
Welcome to Capital Quest, everybody. Get ready to test your brain power. We're going around the globe today. It's all about world capitals. Think you know your stuff? Buckle up, because we're about to find out. We've got trivia, we've got fun facts, and most importantly, we've got prizes. Just kidding about the prizes, unless, whether you're a geography guru or you just love a good challenge, this quiz is for you. Get ready to explore the world, one capital city at a time. Let's play Capital Quest. All right, contestants, here comes your first question. Don't be nervous, it's a warm-up. What is the capital of France? Is it A, Rome, B, London, C, Paris, D, Berlin? Take your time, think it through. And remember, no cheating. We're all about fair play here on Capital Quest. Ready to lock in your answer? All right, let's see what you chose. Next up, we're heading to North America for a question that's as sweet as maple syrup. What's the capital of Canada? Could it be A, Toronto, B, Vancouver, C, Ottawa, D, Montreal? Think about those iconic Canadian landmarks. Picture yourself strolling through the capital city. Got your answer? Let's hope you're feeling confident. Fasten your seatbelts, because we're jetting off to South America for our next brain teaser. What is the capital of Brazil? Is it A, Rio de Janeiro, B, Sao Paulo, C, Brasilia, or D, Salvador? Brazil is a country of vibrant culture and stunning landscapes. But which city reigns supreme as its capital? Time to make your choice. Don't forget to use your process of elimination. Hold on tight. We're hopping continents again. This time, we're off to the land of the rising sun. What is the capital of Japan? Is it A, Kyoto, B, Osaka, C, Tokyo, or D, Yokohama? Think about everything you know about Japan. From its ancient traditions to its modern marvels. Which city embodies the heart of the nation? Make your pick. All right, Capital Questers, let's see how you did. The answers are 1, C, Paris. Paris, the city of love, lights, and delicious croissants. It's also home to iconic landmarks like the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre Museum. 2, C, Ottawa, located on the banks of the Ottawa River. Canada's capital is known for its stunning architecture, beautiful parks, and the historic Rideau Canal, which becomes a giant ice skating rink in the winter. 3, C, Brasilia. This planned city is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, known for its modernist architecture designed by the renowned Oscar Niemeyer. 4, C, Tokyo. This bustling metropolis seamlessly blends ancient traditions with cutting-edge technology. From neon-lit skyscrapers to serene temples, Tokyo is a feast for the senses.
Yeah, so those are basically, you can do a whole lot of stuff, like starting with that video. So Jacqueline, you have a very good point. The language isn't graded for basic. You can ask the AI to grade it for A2 or A1 or whatever you want. You can ask the AI to grade the language. Can you make it simpler? Can you make it slower? Can you make it with, yeah, like A2 vocabulary or A1 vocabulary? And I think at the end of the day, like they're looking at, if you think about kids, like they look at, you know, all this content and really and truly only some ideas stick with them. So for kids looking at this, even with a low level, you might need to pause the video sometimes. I think that would be helpful in order to grade for language, in addition to actually grading the words that they are using. And then finally, I mean, they're going to find the capitals, listen for the capital. Something else that you can ask the kids to do, or your students to do, whether they're adults or kids, you know, write 3 things about Canada, write 3 things about France from the video, write three things about, basically, Sylvia, I would just, in the same prompt, which I don't have at the moment right now, I would just say, can you remake this for A1/A2? And it's fine, and they will do it. Like, so for example, if you, let's have a look here at, let's go to the good old faithful ChatGPT. So this is something that you might write. Can you write me a text about capitals of famous cities for EFL students? And you can say like this: I want 3 different texts, one for A2 level, one for B1, and one for B2. Let's see if the old ChatGPT. So here, so yeah, you can get the same text you want with different levels, and you just need to ask it. So many countries have a capital city. It's very important, blah, blah, blah. And then in B1, maybe it's going to be a little bit more complicated or complex language. It's where the government works. So you have, for example, a nice little relative clause in here. For example, and then you might have a B2, capital cities play nice collocations, play a crucial role in political, economic, cultural life. So yeah, all of the AI, it knows how to grade language for A1, A2, B1, B2, all those things. So yeah, I hope that's useful for you. I hope that answers your question. Jacqueline, it was Jacqueline, yeah. Let me see. Magda says, in public school, each classroom has audiovisual resources. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it would be such a good idea for the government to invest in those things in public schools. Sylvia, yeah, I think you were the one asking for the lower levels. So yeah, this is what you do. You just tell ChatGPT, please make it A2, B1, B2. And still, I honestly recommend go read this and check it, fix it, maybe put in your own thing. Maybe if there's some language point that you've been using with your students in the last 2 or 3 classes that you would like them to recycle or review, stick it in there, you know, like that you are the owner, you're really the final point, because all this AI does is it just takes random information and then puts it together, and then what you're going to be is like a filter for your students. All right. So let's go back to, sorry, and just one more thing about this website with the capital cities. One idea that you could use for more advanced students would be, for example, you know, can you make your own, like write out a game show audio with 4 different countries, or it could be 4 different, for example, in Colombia we have departments. I don't know if it's the same in Peru, excuse me, but yeah, we are. So you could say, okay, do, for example, write the text for 4 different departments and their capitals, and maybe have a little description at the end, maybe the architecture or the nature or the buildings, the streets, the attractions. So the idea is just using this as like a springboard, yeah, and you bring this into class, but then all your other activities are going to be based around this, and it will go from asking students to just see and say or write what they hear and see, to actually creating something, depending on the student's level and maybe their age as well. I was going to do this in a breakout room, but I think that I don't know if we have enough time. I don't know if it's last time when I went into the breakout rooms, lots of people weren't really talking together. So what I'm going to do instead is, oh, just by the way, these are the websites that I used for the session today. OpenArt.ai to generate images, InVideo AI to generate the video, and Udio.com to generate the audio. So I think just because in the last time when I went into the breakout rooms, maybe people weren't talking to each other so much. Would you mind, let's just do a little bit of reflection and think. You can write it in the chat, but did you learn anything today that you can actually use in your classes that you think you can use tomorrow or next week? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no worries, Jenny. That's okay. Sometimes it happens, you know. The songs, oof, definitely, and you can change the things as well. No, I'm gonna be sending this to you in a PDF in 10 minutes. So please don't worry about that. And of course, yeah, nice. Yes, let's maybe take 1 or 2 more minutes just to see if anybody has any other ideas and maybe questions. I think I've been going through the whole session and answering your questions as they've come up. But yeah, no, as you've seen images, you've seen using songs, you've seen actually using, maybe if we have some time, we can have a look at ChatGPT and planning a class. We can do that if we have some time in a couple minutes. Nice. Cecilia just made a track from Udio. Nice. Lyrics training, Javier, very good. Definitely, Maria Elena, you shouldn't be afraid to use AI to prepare your lessons. For me, even, I think you shouldn't be afraid of letting your students use AI. And as teachers, I think it is our responsibility to teach our students how to use AI, to let them know, you know, it's not just something that you ask and it gives you all the correct answers and it's going to let you through life perfectly. For example, I think, okay, so let's see. Nice. How can we help our students improve their speaking from Milagros? So I don't know if you attended the session. There was a session on Wednesday. I made a little video about using Elsa. Maybe I can share that here in the chat as well, Milagros. Elsa is an AI app, a tool.
Please do. We did not have the time to cover with that.
No problem, William. No problem.
Yes.
So let me do it right now, just so I don't forget. Where do I have it? Elsa practice. Beautiful. All right, nice. So I think I can attach the file. So William, when I click attach, it doesn't give me your computer as an option. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into Google Drive. I'll upload it to a folder there, but I need an extra minute. All right, nice. So no worries. I'm uploading that Milagros so you can see how to use AI with that app Elsa, and basically it creates conversations or situations for you to have conversations in, and it gives you feedback on your grammar, your pronunciation, your vocabulary. So that's from Milagros. Jorge, yeah, nice. You're welcome. I mean, it's my pleasure, man. Anna put, maybe, is this a website or a link, a tool, Anna? Liver word sheets could be. I'm just reading from the chat in case anybody's lost. Nice, Rudy. I appreciate your comment, man. I did it. Nice. Cheers. Yeah, you like the Harry Potter, Stefano? Yeah, it's good, and you know, we can do it with anything. It could be a description of a city, it could be a description of a classroom or a person, a real person, a fake person, an imaginary fantasy person. Nice, create music. Yeah, definitely. Elsa pronunciation. Liz knows the Elsa. So, oh, okay, nice. So this has been uploaded. So what I'm gonna do is share this file with you. Gonna make it shareable. With anyone in the link, I'll copy the link. Okay, so just in your chat here, there's going to be a video. Maybe if you want now, open it up and see if the video loads. You can download it, save it. It's just me using Elsa, and I made a little recording on my cell phone. All right, let's continue with your questions. So in the questions, we've got, yeah, Cecilia, you can ask them to create music. I definitely like that idea because a creation is something that requires so much cognitive not development, but I'd say cognitive ability. And so it might be better for older or more advanced students. Nice, Jenny. Making videos, yeah, definitely. You can ask them to make videos. And I think this is something that they're doing outside of class anyway. And it's a really good way to engage them, get them connected to your lesson, maybe make them participate more. It might be that some student who, you know, if they look at a page with writing on it, they're just lost. But if the moment you bring out cell phones and you bring out tablets and AI, they're a lot more connected. Yeah, nice. Ana Ujoa, song Scramble, Sentencia. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Nice, Gladys. Thank you very much. Speakandimprove.com, Sylvia. I've never heard of it. Let me see. Let me see if we can have a quick look here. I've not used it, but yeah, it looks like an AI makes you fluent. There's loads. Yeah. Please try that website from Sylvia. Speak and Improve. See if you like it. Yeah, I'm gonna send the presentation in 1 minute. Nice. Students are going to use, yeah, Jolanda, I completely agree. Students are going to use AI whether we want them to or not. So it's better for us to show them how to use it in a control space where we can guide them. I could not put it in better words, Yolanda. Thank you so much. Some teachers are very worried about, for example, students just using AI to hand in their writing tasks. So for example, actually just this week I had students, I gave them a writing task for homework, and some of them clearly used AI. And obviously, you know, like as a teacher, you know when the student has used AI to do their task. And so people might wonder, all right, what can I do? Well, there's a wonderful website. I'll share. If you go to zerogpt.com, ZeroGPT is an AI detector. So when you hold on, oh, this is another one. GPT. This is the one I use. There's loads of AI detectors. So basically, you just copy the text and you stick it in here, and it'll tell you like if the text is written by AI or not. I'm gonna put in a writing that a student did for me. I'm not gonna share the student's name just for her data protection and identity, but I'll show you. So I just copied the writing that the student gave to me. And so basically, you can copy and paste, or you can upload the whole file. If you just paste and you click detect text, in a few seconds, websites like zerogpt.com can tell you if the text is AI generated, GPT generated. It can also tell you if it's like part human, part AI. Like sometimes it shows you like 50% of this shows that it's from AI. So you can use these types of websites to support your student. So what I did in this case was I emailed the student. I told her, I said, look, I put your writing through an AI checker, and it told me that it's 100% AI generated by AI. And really and truly, if you want me to be able to help you to identify your strengths, your weaknesses, and make a study plan for you, I would prefer if you redo it without the use of AI, maybe a dictionary, and then send it back to me. And actually, I've always, this has happened to me maybe 4 or 5 times over the last year, and it's always been met with a good response. Like sometimes they make up some excuses that just, I don't believe it, but I don't care because I don't get paid to get angry with them. I just get paid to support them. So I let them know the situation. You know, I say, you know, this is something that I can help you with, but you have to give me your own work. Nice. So I think I'm gonna pause for a moment. I would like you guys just to take 5 minutes to give me a little bit of feedback. If you have your cell phones, if you can scan this QR code and leave some feedback during that time, I will make the presentation into a PDF and I'll share it for you in the chat. Yeah, Dexy, you can actually, when you look at the ELSA, I don't know if you can generate it with the websites we used, but with the ELSA, you can ask it to talk to you in a different accent. It could be like male British, female Australian, male German, female. Well, there are no people from Trinidad and Tobago where I am from, but you know, it's more standard. I think there's Indian accents you can practice with as well. Yeah, so please, if you can scan that QR code and give me some feedback just so I can make this presentation better for the future, or think about how this kind of feedback impacts you. So I'm going to leave this on the screen, or actually I'm going to stick it in the chat. I think I can. Let me see if I can put an image. No, I can't send an image in the chat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just convert this into a PDF, but I need to make it a little bit neater and just make sure everything is in the screen. Yeah, that's good. We can take this out. That's good. We can take this out. We can take this out. That's good. All right, I just need to make this within here. I just need to make this within here. Sorry, if you don't see the QR, sorry, just give me 1 minute, and I'll have the QR ready for you, okay? The QR will be in the PDF when I send it to you. So don't worry if you didn't get a chance to make it. You won't be able to see the video in the PDF, but all the websites are there. So please, there's some extra ones here that I haven't used a lot. Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, Ideogram, all of these are tools that you can use, all right? So let me just convert this into a PDF. And I'll stick that for you into the chat. Again, sorry, William, I don't know if you can stick things, you can put things into the chat. Is it okay if I send you this PDF and Teams and you put it into the chat?
Could you please send it to either Giselle or Martin so they can more easily do it?
All right, nice. 1 minute.
Thank you.
Okay, Giselle has it in her chat because it's Zoom is not letting me upload things from my computer into the Zoom chat. And so yeah, please, that's coming to the end of my presentation. I hope you liked it. Thank you very much for your wonderful comments in the chat. I do hope that this helps you and it helps your students and it helps maybe other teachers that you train in the future to feel more confident with using AI. This is something that's developing. So in 1 year, everything might be different. We don't know. All we can do is just get up to speed with where it is now and make sure that in 1 year, when everything is totally different and more advanced, that we're up to speed and we're not left behind. All right. Thank you so much. Dalila, I shared it with Giselle. Maybe can Giselle put it into the Zoom chat? Is that possible?
No, it's not possible, but I'm putting in Drive and then share it with everyone.
Okay. I was just gonna say I can put it in my Drive as well. But thank you, Giselle, if that works for you. That works for me as well. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate you coming and all your wonderful comments, and I hope I've helped you. Thank you, William.
Thank you, Jesse. What a way. Thank you very much. What a way to close it. And also, I was going to say, what a journey it has been. It has been a perfect day to bring a closure to our ELT Week in Peru. This has actually been the first time that we have put together this program in our country, and it has by far met our expectations in terms of the impact we intend to make through our English language teaching programs in Peru. Special gratitude to the Ministry of Education for supporting us with the dissemination of this event and sharing the invitation with all teachers and basic education, teacher training schools and institutes, and also university higher education sector. And most of all, we would like to acknowledge your fantastic level of engagement and participation throughout the whole event. It has been a 3-day event filled with opportunities to strengthen teacher trainers' capacities and to foster connections with colleagues all across the country. Massive thanks to our speakers. Jess is here, and definitely I would like to particularly thank him for bringing such a closure to this event. We would also like to thank system leaders who participated at the discussion panels that we had yesterday. Our colleagues from around the Americas and also Europe, Aidan could join us from Spain today. I'm not done with the thanks yet, and we should also acknowledge the collaboration of our English Connects program team in the Americas. And last but not least, the British Council team in Peru, who have helped make this a successful event. And I would like to name Cici, our country director, who was in charge of the opening remarks, Ejise, who's been there and has been helping with all the logistics to make this happen, and also our dear Martin, who from Colombia has joined this event from the inception moment to make this all a successful event. Thank you all. Now, it is very important, and now Martin will be sharing with us a last slide with some reminders before we bring an end to this event. Please, for those of you who just joined today or probably didn't have the chance to complete the participants profile survey that we started running right at the beginning of this 3-day event, please, you can scan this code and input the information we require to plan our year 2025-2026 in line with your interests, with your needs. So that is essential for us. Second, we will be sending you an email based on your registration, on the registration records and the attendance that you have registered. Every day, we will be sending the certificates after you complete a survey that is part of our English Connect survey. So you will be receiving that survey. Don't forget to complete the attendance report or registration for today, okay? And then last but not least, in terms of reminders, remember to join us at BBEL 2025, Best and Brightest English Language Teaching 2025. Registrations will close at the end of this month, and it will be taking place from the 4th to the 5th of April. So we expect to see you all join our BBELT event this year. Previous BBELT events have been have had great participation of Peruvian teachers, so we expect this to be even more this time. So once again, thank you very much, and we just look forward to seeing you at BBELT and participating as nicely engaged as you did this time in our next edition of the ELT Week in Peru. Thank you.